Good afternoon, everybody. Phil Pinarski here with CBS 42 Now. Hope everybody's having a great Friday. In just a few moments, we are going to be hearing from the Jefferson County Department of Health as they give an update on the COVID-19 pandemic in the state of Alabama and specifically here in Jefferson County ahead of the Memorial Day weekend. We heard from Governor Kay Ivey and State Health Officer Dr. Scott Harris yesterday about the new regulations and guidelines in the Safer at Home ordinance. And so we are probably going to hear much of the same thing today in this press conference, but with extra guidelines pertaining to Jefferson County alone, just ahead of the Memorial Day weekend as families and others plan to travel around the state, maybe go to the lake or possibly hang out by the pool. More guidelines will be in place for that in Jefferson County specifically. Taking a look at the state as we wait for the press conference to start. These are the latest numbers of the coronavirus in the state of Alabama with just under 13,500 cases. Almost 180,000 total people have been tested. In the past 14 days, the past 2 weeks, we've seen just over 4,000 cases of coronavirus, and 68,623 people have been tested in the past 14 days. And as more people start to check in, just want to remind everybody what's going on. In just a few short minutes, the Jefferson County Department of Health will be giving a press conference on the updates that Governor Kay Ivey and Dr. Scott Harris gave yesterday in their press conference for the Safer at Home order regarding the coronavirus. We are going to hear from Dr. Mark Wilson. He's the Jefferson County Health Officer. This press conference is taking place in partnership with the Jefferson County Unified Command Center, and it looks like the press conference is underway.
Good afternoon, everybody. Just have a few things for you today. Since the last statewide Safer at Home was issued on May 8th, in which several businesses were allowed to open up with certain restrictions, our numbers of COVID-19 cases per day have been trending up in Jefferson County. We're also seeing an increase in the numbers of people hospitalized with COVID-19 each day in Jefferson County. On May 8th, that number was 103 patients. Earlier this week, that number was up to 130 patients. Again, those are patients in the hospital with COVID-19 in Jefferson County, all of our Jefferson County hospitals. As you know, a new statewide order was issued yesterday. In that order, it does allow me as county health officer to impose stricter orders based on the circumstances locally that we see, which I just described to you. Things are not actually getting better currently. And it also states that with permission from the state health officer, I can issue a stricter order. So I am issuing today a stricter order. And I did confer with the state health officer about this, and he agreed. This pertains to higher risk business activities, mainly entertainment venues. So these following types of entertainment venues are to be closed until June 6th, midnight 2020. That's midnight June 6th. They're as follows: nightclubs, concert venues, theaters, auditoriums and performing arts centers, tourist attractions, including museums and planetariums, racetracks, indoor children play areas, adult entertainment venues, casinos, bingo halls, and venues operated by social clubs. Otherwise, this order is essentially the same as the order issued statewide yesterday. So again, these entertainment venues, we're asking that they stay closed, or ordering that they stay closed until midnight June 6th. Otherwise, the order is the same as the statewide order. Thank you. I just want to remind people that one of the most effective things that we can do at this point as we go out into the public I'm going to have to move. I'm getting soaked. Can we do a timeout?
I can tell you what, to keep everybody safe and whatnot, let's social distance by going inside. Let's try to spread out. We have a backstop. I'm sorry, can't control the weather.
And that was part of what Jefferson County Health Officer Dr. Mark Wilson was going to discuss regarding the coronavirus. It seems the storm just hit as he was beginning his press conference, so they will be taking a quick time out to move cameras and microphones inside. So we may lose our camera for just a little bit, but it looks like we may just be turning on over a little bit over into a covering. So we're going to hang on right here and wait to see what happens next. Looks like we're going on a little field trip just a second. All right, well, we can discuss a little bit about what was mentioned before Jefferson County Health Officer Dr. Mark Wilson was rudely interrupted by the rain and thunder over at the Jefferson County Unified Command Center. So just quickly, briefly recapping what he did mention, probably the biggest thing is he was speaking with State Health Officer Dr. Scott Harris about imposing stricter guidelines and precautions in Jefferson County alone. The state health officer and Governor Kay Ivey announced yesterday that more businesses would be open, but Dr. Mark Wilson decided that in Jefferson County, until June 6th at midnight, these businesses will remain closed. This includes nightclubs, theaters, tourist attractions like museums and planetariums, racetracks, indoor children's areas, events hosted by social clubs, adult entertainment venues, and casinos. So, and it looks like things are starting to move back up over at the press conference. A little bit of a makeshift press conference right there, indoors. But yeah, the big news coming out of this press conference so far from Dr. Mark Wilson, the Jefferson County Health Officer, is that businesses in Jefferson County will remain closed despite orders by the governor and the state health officer yesterday that they could open. And these will remain through June 6th at midnight. Dr. Wilson did mention that this is part of the reason why he is imposing these extra guidelines is because of the number of cases that have gone up since May 8th. He says that they've been trending up as well as hospitalizations. He says that things aren't getting better in Jefferson County alone, despite Dr. Scott Harris saying yesterday that the total number of cases and hospitalizations in the state of Alabama had been very steady. And we're just now waiting for Dr. Mark Wilson. Again, if you're just joining us, the Jefferson County Health Officer, Dr. Mark Wilson, was speaking about the coronavirus update in Jefferson County before the rain and the weather started to interfere with it, so they had to move inside, and now we're just waiting for it to resume.
If Dr. Wilson and come from that side, I can sit back a little bit further too, and that way I'm not. Either I can be forward if you want.
This is just for the Facebook Live.
I understand.
Yeah, inside. You guys trying to get through it?
And for those of you just tuning in, just want to recap what Dr. Mark Wilson, the Jefferson County Health Officer, did say before the press conference was put on a pause. He says that due to the trending upwards of cases of coronavirus and hospitalizations in Jefferson County, He is imposing stricter guidelines despite what the governor and state health officer said yesterday in their press conference. So until June 6th at midnight, these businesses must remain closed. This includes their entertainment and business venues. This includes nightclubs, theaters, tourist attractions like museums and planetariums, racetracks, events hosted by social clubs, indoor children's areas, adult entertainment venues, and casinos and bingo halls. These will have to remain closed until June 6th at midnight. And this comes on the heels of State Health Officer Dr. Scott Harris and Governor Kay Ivey expanding the amount of businesses that could open just a day earlier in their press conference. And it looks like Dr. Mark Wilson is set to come back up to the podium in just a few short moments. And we just got word that the press conference will resume at 2:15, so in just a couple more minutes, and the press conference will get started again. Real quickly, though, just want to take you guys across the state and looking at the coronavirus cases and breakdown of all the numbers so far as we've seen. These are all the latest numbers. So far, we've seen almost 13,500 cases since the pandemic began in the state of Alabama. Just over 177,000 people have been tested across the state. In the last 2 weeks, we have seen just over 4,000 cases, and over 68,600 people have been tested in just the past 2 weeks alone. We have seen 536 deaths due to COVID-19, just over 1,500 people have been hospitalized, and the Alabama Department of Public Health is presuming that almost 8,000 people have recovered. That number will be updated weekly, according to ADPH. Taking a look at Jefferson County right now, Dr. Mark Wilson, who's the Jefferson County Health Officer, said that the numbers of total cases and hospitalizations have been trending upward since the last health ordinance was issued May 8th. And that's why he's imposed stricter guidelines. I'll get back to those stricter guidelines in just a moment for those of you who are just joining us. In Jefferson County, there have been just under 1,500 confirmed cases since the pandemic began and 86 deaths due to the virus. But Jefferson County is, of course, not the county in the state of Alabama that's been hit the hardest. That is actually Mobile County. They're almost at 1,900 total cases since the pandemic began, with over 100 deaths. And I mentioned earlier that Dr. Mark Wilson did impose stricter guidelines on going outside and getting back to normal. He says that due to the number of cases and hospitalizations increasing since the last health ordinance earlier this month, these businesses will be closed through June 6th. They can begin opening on June 7th. This includes business venues and entertainment venues such as nightclubs, theaters, tourist attractions, racetracks, events hosted by social clubs, museums, casinos, adult entertainment venues, and indoor children's areas. And the press conference is set to begin in just a couple more minutes. Again, Dr. Mark Wilson was speaking before the rain started to come down very hard. The original plan for the press conference was to be outside the Department of Health of Jefferson County. The rain got to be too much, and so everything was moved inside, and they said that it will begin at 2:15, so in just a few short minutes. And we're going to bring you this press conference in its entirety, as we have.
1 minute. Everybody good? Yep. Dr. Wilson.
And here comes Dr. Mark Wilson again.
Good afternoon. As most of you know, yesterday there was a statewide order issued regarding opening up of businesses. That order allows the local health officer, myself, and Jefferson County to issue a more strict order, and that is what I am here to do today. I have gotten approval from the state health officer, Dr. Scott Harris, to issue this order. In this order, we are going to further restrict certain businesses and activities in Jefferson County, and those are mainly entertainment venues as follows. Until June 6th, midnight, June 6, 2020, the following entertainment venues shall remain closed: nightclubs, concert venues, theaters, auditoriums, and performance arts centers, tourist attractions including museums and planetariums, racetracks, indoor children's play areas, adult entertainment venues, casinos, bingo halls, and venues operated by social clubs. The reason we're doing this is that we are continuing to see some increases in cases of COVID-19 per day in Jefferson County. They've been trending up since that last order was issued statewide on May 8th. Also, since the previous order was issued on May 8th, the number of hospitalizations was at 103 in Jefferson County. Now that number is up to 130. So because of the increasing numbers of cases and the increasing number of people in the hospital with COVID-19, this is why we're issuing this stricter order today. Other than those entertainment venues that I just mentioned, this order is the same as the statewide order that was issued yesterday. I want to remind everybody of a few very important things. One is that one of the most effective things that we can all do at this point when we go out into the public or visit a store or a restaurant, what have you, any place where we're going to be in proximity of other people, we want everybody to wear a face covering. I've been really encouraged to see many people doing this in our community. For those of you who have not been doing this, please be considerate of others and wear a face covering. We all need to protect each other. Even though things have been opening up, it does not mean things are better in our community in terms of the spread of COVID-19. In fact, I would say that it may be more dangerous now to let down your guard than it has been ever since this pandemic began. So please don't let down your guard. Please continue to be very careful. If you're an older person or one of these higher risk individuals with underlying conditions, please try to stay home as much as you can and just be very careful to follow the recommendations that we've issued many times over to keep yourself safe. Do also want to give an update on community testing. Thanks to a lot of great local partners, we've continued to have good testing capacity in Jefferson County. We and our partners are working on getting more people who are working or living in congregate living situations tested, even if they do not have symptoms. This can help us avoid an outbreak in one of these settings. That includes our homeless shelters, our jails, treatment centers, and other places where people are congregated together. Additionally, we are now recommending that people who work through their work often come into contact with a lot of other people, that they also get tested even if they do not have symptoms. This would include our grocery store workers, people that work in retail or other places where they come in contact with the public often, especially if recently they've come in contact with people who are not wearing face coverings. So with that, I'll see if any of you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer other questions on other topics that you have.
question. Apple and Google have been working with different states, including Alabama, helping them to create applications that will notify people if they've come in contact with someone with the virus. How could you see that being useful to people?
Yeah, so it is true that there's been an offer made for Apple and Google to work with the state of Alabama. They've been in conversations with the Alabama Department of Public Health and the governor's office. UAB has taken a great interest in this as well. I want to make a distinction. Some of these tools that are out there are not the same as contact tracing. This is something called proximity tracking. As I understand it, these are things that people volunteer to opt in to do. I want to make it clear that our health department is doing the contact tracing, and we have ramped up our capacity to do that. We're currently keeping up with that, and that involves contacting people directly who have tested positive, finding out whom they've come in contact with, and then making sure those people get quarantined or tested if they need to. So that work is ongoing, and we currently have the capacity to keep up with that with our current numbers. These other tools, there's some other work that will need to be done to ensure people's privacy and to make sure that that does coordinate well with the health department, and that's mostly being handled at the state level at this point.
What's the significance of June 6th?
I wanted to just give us long enough, another couple of weeks, to see how our numbers are doing. We're, like with all these things, we're trying to balance the demand from people wanting to get back to business, wanting to get back to work. There's a lot of pressure from everybody wanting to do that, and I understand that. These are some things that had remained closed from the last order, and some of these are situations that I see as high risk because of the numbers of people that can be congregating and the ways in which people can congregate in these sort of settings.
What was Dr. Harris's reaction when you were talking to him about what you wanted to do?
Dr. Harris, in this instance and in all previous instances where I've issued separate orders, has been extremely supportive. He understands why I'm doing what I'm doing, and he has agreed with me wholeheartedly.
Why did you feel that it's more dangerous now? Is it because the hospitals could potentially be overrun?
Yeah, it's not that they're being overrun right now. They still have plenty of capacity. But as we said before, that is one of the most useful numbers and important numbers that I think we can track, is those numbers of people in the hospital. And so we want to stay ahead of it and not get to the point where they are overrun or where we just have a lot of cases in the hospital that are difficult to manage. As you know, our hospitals have opened up to provide other care to people without COVID-19, and we want them to also be able to do that because people do need care for other things, and a lot of those things had been put on hold from the previous orders that essentially shut down a lot of elective procedures. So we're trying to make sure we protect that capacity for people to get the health care they need, whether it's COVID-19 or something else.
With Memorial Day weekend approaching here, do you have any concerns about people going out, not following the social distancing guidelines as they, celebrate this weekend?
Yeah, we really do want to encourage people to enjoy their holiday weekend. If the weather permits, to get outside and enjoy some outside time and spend time with family. But the main message is to the public to really, really be careful as you do that. There's disease spread in our community. COVID-19 is a potentially dangerous disease. We're seeing about 2 or 3 deaths a day during this last week or two in Jefferson County alone. So we just need people to continue to take this very, very seriously. You can go outside, you can do things and enjoy the holiday weekend, but you can't be less careful than you have ever been at any time during this pandemic.
There's been some reports about people, the ICU areas in Montgomery hospitals have been filled up, and a lot of people are, having to come to this area. What effect might that have on the hospitals here?
Well, just generally speaking, we have major medical centers here in Jefferson County, UAB being certainly the largest, and UAB has always been a statewide hospital. Our other hospitals are regional hospitals that accept people from other parts of the state. So that is a potential concern, and those hospitals are not going to be closed to others coming in as they need to. They're there to help. So they have been thinking about that, and there have been conversations ongoing on practically a daily basis with the Hospital Association, the State Health Department, to think about coordination of hospital care across the entire state.
There's some modeling to indicate there could even be a second wave, an increase in cases. What are you doing to prepare for that?
We're trying to ramp up testing as much as we can. As I've said before, make sure that we maintain that capacity. I'm really grateful, again, that we have many good partners, a lot of laboratories that have come online that are ramping up their capacity. So we have to do a lot of testing. We have to continue doing that contact tracing. But I'm really depending on the public at this point. We know that businesses cannot stay closed forever. And as things are opening up, we're depending on everyone to do the right thing. If we cannot get the public, individuals in our community to do the right thing to protect themselves and others, there's not much else I can do.
Does this affect the Alabama Splash Adventure from opening up May 30th?
That's a very good question. We are considering Splash Adventure to be a swimming pool. In essence, we regulate public swimming pools. There are some things there that might have to be off limits because they have a lot of different things there. But our environmental health department is currently in conversations with them about how they can open up.
Has enforcement of the previous safer at home order been a stress on your department? Because we know police officers aren't going out and checking to make sure people are following this, and you just hinted the importance of personal responsibility. So what has the strain been like on y'all's department?
Yeah, this is largely our environmental health department that does a lot of inspections. So while things were shut down, they had less inspection work to do. Now that things are opening up, they're spending most of their time right now on making sure things are safe from the standpoint of COVID-19. And we've delayed some of the other routine inspections just a few weeks, like your restaurants, things like that. A lot of the restaurants that are opening, have to have some lead time anyway to get up and going again. So that gives us a little bit of lead time as well in terms of doing those traditional restaurant inspections, other inspections that we ordinarily do. But they're staying quite busy. They're working overtime. They're working on the weekends. We're trying to be as collaborative as possible. We want businesses to succeed, so that's what we're there to do. We want to help them do it right.
Okay. We have time for one more question. If not, we'll end. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody. Be safe.
And that was Jefferson County Health Officer Dr. Mark Wilson talking about a new health order in Jefferson County alone regarding the coronavirus ahead of Memorial Day weekend. One of the couple things before we send you guys off on your way, big thing that Dr. Wilson said was that these businesses, despite being opened by Governor Kay Ivey and State Health Officer Dr. Scott Harris yesterday, these will remain closed in Jefferson County until June 6th at midnight. These business venues and entertainment places include nightclubs and concert venues, theaters, bingo halls and casinos, adult entertainment venues, indoor child's play areas, racetracks, events hosted by social clubs, and tourist attractions, which include museums and planetariums, as well as movie theaters. So those will remain closed through June 6th at midnight. Dr. Mark Wilson also mentioned a few other things. He says that the most effective way to combat the virus is, of course, to practice social distancing, wear a face covering, wash your hands. We've heard it plenty of times during this pandemic. He also says that he's been in constant contact with Dr. Harris about these changes and that Dr. Harris is supportive of these more stricter guidelines in Jefferson County, despite what's going on in the rest of the state. He said that he does want people to enjoy their Memorial Day weekend, but he does want people to practice social distancing, wear a mask, be careful, wash your hands. He says that this is part of the reason why he is imposing these stricter guidelines is because the number of cases as well as the number of hospitalizations in Jefferson County alone have been on a steady trend up since May 8th. And he says that the Jefferson County alone has seen 2 to 3 deaths a day due to the coronavirus. We're going to have more on this press conference and the guidelines issued by Dr. Mark Wilson on the CBS 42 News at 5, 6, and 10. And we are going to have a full story on CBS42.com. And never miss any breaking news by downloading the CBS 42 News app. I'm Phil Penarski, and I hope you guys all have a great Memorial Day weekend. And we'll see you next time on CBS 42 Now.